Most important question to ask you is, what does success mean to you? I'm sure you've come across this question time and time again, but it's always something that I notice with clients that they don't get specific enough. So in the chat, write any words that come up or use it as a journaling question. What does success mean to you? And from a scale from 0 to 10, where do you feel like you are now? So 0 being you've not even started, 10 being 12, 10 being you've already smashed it. Where do you feel like you are? And what do you think is still missing? Success can become a beautiful cage we've built ourselves. So too often I've seen how success can become this beautiful cage. And behind many outwardly successful businesses, they are overworked, overwhelmed, undervalued, and disillusioned owners. So instead, I believe that business should be a source of energy, not just income. I think success needs to be fulfilling and not generically empty. I'm Isabella, a business alignment strategist and NLP practitioner, and I support wellness-related businesses move from passionate but plateauing to successfully scaling. My alignment strategy method was born from conversations with hundreds of business owners after noticing that their personal frustrations often held the key to the most innovative and unique business solutions. So I create alignment between business and personal growth, and I do that by combining strategic business planning with mindset work. So I help businesses feel as good on the inside as they look on the outside. And here are 3 transformation pillars that I focus on with my clients, and I'm going to be giving you some examples shortly. But first of all, one of the biggest challenges that I see businesses being sucked into that can impact long-term success and personal fulfillment is this passion plummet spiral. And this spiral starts so innocently and so beautifully with passion and purpose fueling the beginning, but it's also coupled up with hustle habits. The longer we work, the better results we're going to get. And at first, this generates some good results. It works really well to begin with. So we carry on with these habits, but little by little over time, it becomes really unsustainable, and it really risks the long-term success of a business and the fulfillment. Long hours drain your energy, your creativity. Over time, external pressures become overwhelming. Burnout creeps in and well-being suffers, and in time, so does the business stagnates. I won't go into this into lots of detail today, but there is a QR code here if you want to find out where in the passion plummet spiral you currently are and to start shifting things so that you can move your way out of it. Did you know, talking about burnout, that they've done scans of burnt out brains, and it's not just a faddy word that we chuck around. The brain actually rewires, and scans have shown that there are similarities between someone who's burnt out and someone with Alzheimer's. So it can have really detrimental impact on the way that you show up in your business. On top of this, our brains are naturally wired to avoid risk. So they are 2.5 times more wired to avoid risk. So imagine now wanting to find solutions, create growth and fulfillment in your business while burnt out. It's why I believe that 50% of businesses actually fail within the first 5 years. And I also think this is so avoidable by realigning businesses for long-term success. What do we need? We need, number 1, a strategy that we can confidently rely on. And number 2, wrong fingers, number 2, mindset work that will help us rewire our thinking to help us override this passion plummet spiral. And again, here is a QR code for the Passion Personal Success Compass. It's a lovely exercise that gives you a bird's eye view of all the hats that you wear in your business and in your personal life, and to see if you can start creating some alignment and more joy in the way that you work in your business. So now imagine, what if embracing your unique way of doing things was actually your secret weapon to success? I'm going to share some examples of alignment tweaks that I've come across with clients of mine and I've helped them work on. So the first one, flow operations. You know those moments in your business when your business just seems to run on pure inspiration, when ideas flow, clients appear, and work feels maybe a little bit more like a hobby. These are not random moments. They're actually glimpses of what your business could look like if it is in alignment, if it's in alignment with your natural flow state, like this fantastic lady here. Positive psychologists actually tell us that by regularly experiencing flow states, we significantly boost our happiness and our fulfillment at work. And remember, the way that we feel affects the way that we think, which impacts our behaviors, our outcomes and our results. So it's really important working from the mindset first. It echoes through everything in our business. So a question for you to put in the chat or to reflect on is, what one business activity puts you in a flow state? Hopefully you can come up with a business example, but if you can't, do look at your personal life as well. And now imagine building your entire business around that energy, restructuring any necessary tasks to honor that natural rhythm that you've got. This is what flow operations is about, and this is what I help bring to the table with my clients. Here are some examples. So some clients, when we've deep dived into their ways of working, we've discovered actually by simple shifts of taking client work for morning sessions or afternoons actually gets the best out of them and gets the best results. Other clients I've worked with have discovered that actually they like to have a week on with live clients and then a week off, and that gives their mind enough time to get into work and get into a flow state. I had another client who discovered she had competing values. So the first one was all about doing things quickly, efficiently, meeting deadlines, ticking off to-do lists. The second value that she had was around creativity, which demanded her to slow down. So as a result, she just wasn't making time for it because she viewed it as a luxury. So she kept putting this thing off that created so much flow and vibrancy and just uniqueness to her business. She kept putting it off. But after helping her discover that she had this inner conflict, she time blocked dedicated creative sessions, and this honored her most fulfilling work. And it also reassured her inner critic that structure still existed. Here we are. So while flow reveals what energy, the energy that moves freely in your business, resistance from external factors shows us where something is blocked. So these blocks are often hidden in plain sight and they're disguised as just the way business works, and we just accept it and move on. But it doesn't need to be like this. These are often opportunities to tweak the business to make them more aligned with us and come up with really creative solutions. I want to ask you, first of all, what out of these examples here or any others that crop up, where do you feel like you are swimming upstream in your business? Where do you feel like there is currently some resistance in your business? To give you one example, working with a financial advisor, he had paperwork all over his floor, lots of client paperwork, not very GDP compliant in that moment, but his business was begging him to scale, to grow. But he wasn't allowing himself. He said he didn't have enough time and he didn't have the money to bring someone in full time. So what we did is we did a whole overhaul of his business strategy. We identified which offers he needed to create, which ones he needed to focus his energy on, to bring that money in, to save some time so that he could then outsource work, filing, and he could stop being the bottleneck in his business and allow it to scale and to grow. Product alchemy, transforming offers into invitations. So have you ever felt that moment when something in your business just doesn't quite feel right? Something feels a bit bland, a bit samey. You're doing what other people in the industry are doing, and something essential, something uniquely yours just feels like it's missing from the recipe. I believe that the most profound shift in any wellness business happens when we move away from selling time to selling transformation. Let me tell you a client story. So I had a client who wasn't selling products for their true value. A beautiful candle was just a candle. A powerful therapy session, just another hour of time. Those essential oils, yeah, they smelt good. But what we did is we wove those seemingly different elements into a cohesive tapestry of transformation. And now that therapy session and that candle actually became an invitation to experience complete nourishment for your body and soul after childbirth, and to feel whole and at one within menopause. So these individual products actually became touch points in a journey of transformation. And the magic was that she was able to charge more without doing more. And in just a short space of time, a few days after working with her, she got a really large paying client, paid more than that she's ever charged before for products that already existed within her business. And that's because they connected emotionally with a promise of transformation. So I'm curious, again, for the chat box or in your own reflections, how might you add more value, not time, to an offer that you currently have? So it can take a lot of courage to change or to stop an offer that doesn't align, especially if it brings you good money. But if you don't do this, like a lot of my clients I've worked with, they risk the longevity of their business and how they turn up in their business and their enjoyment in it. One of my clients recently was really struggling with boundary setting. She said yes to everything. It came from a scarcity mindset. She was really worried that if she said no to an existing client's offer of more work that didn't align, she was scared they were going to look somewhere else. She wasn't sure when another opportunity that brought in X amount of money was going to come about again. But all she was doing was hurting her business long term. She was diluting, while she was saying yes to some opportunities, she was saying no to offers, to providing services that aligned with the magic of her business, the core of her business, the things that she did really well. By saying yes to these offers that she actually wasn't aligned to, she didn't have the resources in her business to do the best job she could. So she was creating lukewarm results for her clients. It impacted her confidence, her energy, and long term, it was just not sustainable. So what can you do? How can you find out if there are offers or packages in your business that need shifting or changing? So the first question, these are the questions you can ask yourself, is does this offer or package align with your business vision? Is it going to take you to where you want your business to go? Or is it pulling you away from that? Because one day, if you keep ignoring that future vision of your business, you might one day wake up and have a business that you don't recognize or don't love. So you really need to be saying yes to opportunities that take you to that business vision. Is it working with your ideal client, or are you compromising there? Are you attracting people who maybe you don't love working with or don't get the best results from the work that you do? And also talking about personal fulfillment, are you in a state of flow? Is it bringing out the best in you? If there is some hesitation here, this is probably an indication that something can change. And there is often a better way just a few tweaks away, and that is something I help my clients with. So when we align our offerings with our vision, our ideal clients, and our personal fulfillment, this is when we create this beautiful magnetic field of authenticity that naturally just attracts abundance and joy into our business. Client magnetism, what does this mean? You know those people who weave themselves naturally into your life. You might have the dog walker who is super friendly and gives you that friendly smile in the morning. That coffee shop owner who looks at you and knows your order and shares your love of R&B, old school R&B music. Or maybe that mother on the school run who is always open for a chit chat. These people did not need a formal invitation. They just are authentic connections and they become part of your life. That is what client magnetism is all about. But we live in a world that is screaming for attention. We've got TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, online, offline, networking, WhatsApp groups, everything everywhere wanting our attention. And we really risk spreading ourselves too thin. We spread ourselves too thin that our message can become diluted and our energy depleted, and then we just get lost in the noise. So what if our most magnetic approach isn't about being everywhere, but about being meaningfully present in the spaces that matter most? I worked with a lovely lady. She she was content writer and creating a big platform for freelance workers in a very niche industry. And she was trying to be everywhere. But what we did is we took things off her to-do list. We saved her a couple of days a month and redirected her energy where her audience actually were present. We chose one platform, in this case it was Instagram, and we focused on creating an ecosystem of value-led content. This value-led content became the central part of her ecosystem. Whenever she went to networking events, she directed people there. When she wrote newsletters and emails, she directed people there. When she was problem solving in DMs, she directed them to a video that answered their specific questions. So what did this do? This saved time, reduced overwhelmed, increased her enjoyment, and increased her results. So the shift wasn't about doing more, it was about creating a constellation of connection rather than a scattered stars of visibility. So again, my question to you is, where at the moment, where can your clients create meaningful connection with you? And how are you inviting them to join you? And very often it's about creating one connection driving piece of content that can become the heart of your ecosystem. Eventually, as you grow, you can build on that, but that is the core of what you need. And that's something that I can help you build out and get really clear on the messaging and the audience. Another way to ensure client magnetism is to focus on that emotional experience, that the impact on behavior, changing customer behavior. I used to work with a very well-known household kitchen appliance brand, and rather than focusing on selling more products, pushing more products, they focused on the experience. They looked around the UK and found the UK's worst chefs and promised to transform them into pretty good chefs by the end of this series. We got blanket coverage across national newspapers, regional, online, print, radio, even local family Facebook groups blew up. And you do not need a massive budget and a household name to make this impact and change in behavior. You can do it too. And actually, regional publications sometimes have a bigger impact on sales than national as well. So that's quite encouraging. Imagine a baby class hosting the messiest eater contest, or maybe a coffee shop running a best homemade cake competition, and the winner gets a space on the counter. A wellness platform running light-hearted sports day events for local workplaces. There are so many ways that you can engage with creating emotional experiences. So these are little nudges to ask yourself: are you focusing on the transaction or in the emotional connection? Are you working solo or collaboratively? Or are you focusing on the customer, or are you talking to the whole community, creating opportunities to engage with them? Right. What differentiates you in the market? If this question leaves you a little bit stumped or makes you feel a bit uncomfortable, this is probably your sign that something can change, that I can help you differentiate this. When I work on client magnetism with clients, I help them move away from just another PT, just another therapist, just another content writer, just another relationship coach. Instead, to become a magnetic force in your industry, you've got to clarify and communicate your unique signature approach. I used to work with a healthcare practitioner, and she had both a scientific and a holistic approach to therapy, which was very unique, but she was just positioning herself as another therapist. She didn't stand out from the crowd. So we worked on transforming her positioning, which impacted so many areas across her strategy and gave her so much energy and momentum and creativity. But in its most simplest form to share with you today, we coined her approach as the science of kindness. And from that, she stood out from her competitors. She was able to hand her knowledge onto a methodology that people could quickly understand. This reduced decision fatigue. She became a category of one. So when people fell into her world, they said, she is the only one that can help me. And this is an easy buy. And within days, she was attracting bigger paying clients into her business, and they just very quickly understood what she was about. And it's had, like I said, had a huge impact across her whole business and how she saw herself as well. So how can you start to do this? Here are some tips to start helping you think about your unique impact signature. First one is to mine your success stories. Look at your success stories. What are the golden threads that run throughout them? Can you jump onto a common cause or share a common enemy alongside your clients that you can get on board with and fight against? Can you name the stages of your approach? Very often clients say to me, but the work that I do is really tailored, it's really unique. And same as mine, every single strategy session is completely unique to not only the business and the industry and the market that my clients are working in, but also the person, because that person's success is going to be different to someone else's version of success. But you can find you can identify things that you repeat over and over again, stages that you focus on, that you can bring as part of your signature package. Can you also infuse science, existing science and philosophies to help people further understand what you're communicating? And also, can you create visual representations, especially for people who are visual learners? That's going to be really, really useful for them to connect with. This is your reminder then that the most magnetic business isn't about the one that's the most visible, the one that's got the biggest amount of money to throw at launching it and growing the business, but it's the one that defines its unique approach and aligns it with a dream client's deepest needs. Remember, right in the beginning of our talk together, I mentioned about the cage of success that I see businesses creating for themselves. The spoiler alert is that the door is always open. So the question isn't, will you escape from this way of building your business and this way of having success? It's not when will you escape? It's, will you choose to operate in a different way? Will you choose to create aligned success for yourself and for your business, for sustained and fulfilling success? If you're curious to find out more, I have got 2 QR codes here. The first one is to book a 15-minute call with me. I can hear a bit more about your business. You can ask me questions and I'll let you know how I work, and then leave that up to you. And the second one is for you to jump into my DMs and make the online world a friendlier place. Come say hi, let me know if anything came out. And the question that I always finish on is, what one, oh, hang on a minute, let's stop the slideshow here. What one takeaway are you going to take away from today's talk? Stop sharing so you can see my face and I can see people. What one thing are you going to take away from today's talk so that this does not just become another freebie you listen to, but actually creates and generates change in your business? I would love to hear, either in the chat or pop into my DMs, and let's start a conversation. Thank you very much for your time, and any questions, let me know.